Hi my dear students, welcome to my biology class. We all are performing different activities. I am teaching you, you are listening me, you are writing, at the same time you are thinking. Do all these activities require energy? Yes, of course, these activities require energy. Then how do we get energy? We get energy from the food. How this energy is produced in the body? By the oxidation of food. We have learned about the cellular respiration in the previous class. Cellular respiration takes place with the help of oxygen. The energy giving molecule in the body is glucose. Glucose is oxidized to produce energy in the living body. That energy is utilized for various purposes. Then where do this energy molecules synthesize in the cell? They are synthesized in the special cell organelle, that is mitochondrion. So today we are going to learn about mitochondrion. Mitochondrion is the singular form, while mitochondria is the plural form. Mitochondria. Mitochondria are the most important cell organelles of the cell. These are mainly found in most of the eukaryotic cells. These are also known as the powerhouses of the cell. Powerhouses. The mitochondria as the powerhouses of the cell was described by Albert von Kolliker in 1857. Albert von Kolliker in 1857. Later, this particular term was renamed as mitochondria by Carl Benda. This is about the history of the discovery of mitochondrion. Now you can observe the diagram of the mitochondrion. This mitochondrion is known as the powerhouse of the cell. It is because the mitochondria produce energy in the cell. These are the site of production of energy. That is why the mitochondria are known as the powerhouses of the cell. This energy is utilized for various purposes in the body, including the cellular activities. Now let's study the structure of mitochondrion with the help of a diagram. So, mitochondrion is a double membranous structure. It has an outer membrane and the inner membrane. Outer membrane and the inner membrane. The outer membrane is porous in nature. It is porous. The inner membrane consists of numerous infoldings. Like this. These infoldings are embedded in the matrix. These infoldings are known as cristae. Okay, these are the parts of a mitochondrion. It is double membranous. It has a matrix in which the infoldings are embedded. The cristae are embedded. Okay, the outer membrane is porous in nature because as it is a cell organelle in the eukaryotic cell, it allows the movement of particles in and out of the organelle because there is a communication between the cell organelle and the cytoplasm because the cell organelle receives the materials or the ingredients for its activity from the cytoplasm. Okay, that's why the outer membrane is porous. The inner membrane comprises the infoldings and the cristae, the infoldings inside the matrix provide more functional surface area for the activities of the mitochondrion. The mitochondrion has specific activities. It has its own DNA and ribosomes. DNA and ribosomes. We know that a cell has a nucleus with a chromatin material that is composed of DNA and protein so that the cell is able to perform all the activities and also at the same time it controls the expression of all the characteristics in a living organism. In the case of mitochondrion, as it consists of its own DNA and ribosome, it has its own identity. It is able to produce its own protein with the help of these ribosomes because these ribosomes are the site of protein synthesis. Now let's move on to the function of the mitochondrion. Just before I have told you that it's the powerhouse of the cell as it produces energy. So for understanding this, we need to recall the cellular respiration. How does cellular respiration take place? With the help of glucose and oxygen. So in the cell, the glucose molecule is oxidized in the presence of oxygen, where in the mitochondria, what happens? The products are carbon dioxide, water and energy. So this process actually takes place in the mitochondria of the cell. That means the first phase in the cytoplasm and the second phase of this energy production takes place in the mitochondria in the presence of oxygen in aerobic respiration. So this happens in aerobic respiration. Which are the end products of this process? Oxidation of the glucose. The products are carbon dioxide, water and energy. That energy is stored in the mitochondria in the form of high energy compound, that is ATP. ATP. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate. This phosphate is a high energy molecule as it is the part of ATP. By breaking the bond between the molecules, it can release a lot of energy. Okay, the energy that is produced by cellular respiration is stored in the form of what? ATP in the mitochondria. So that the mitochondria is known as the powerhouse of the cell because this ATP is known as the energy currency of the cell. Why? Because whenever the body requires energy, this stored form of energy, this ATP molecules undergo hydrolysis and form as ADP and inorganic phosphate. Inorganic phosphate. This process releases a particular amount of energy. This is utilized for various cellular activities, physical activities and also for the muscular and neural activities of the body. So this is the way the currency of the mitochondria, the ATP is utilized for producing energy. Because this ATP is synthesized by cellular respiration, that ATP is stored in the form of high energy compound. Whenever the body needs or require energy, this ATP breaks down to release what? A particular amount of energy. That energy is utilized for various purposes of the body, so that the ATP is known as the energy currency of the cell. Do you know the peculiar feature of mitochondrion? This mitochondrion has its own DNA and ribosomes, so that it is able to produce its own protein with the help of the genetic material DNA. That means this particular cell organelle has its own DNA, its own identity. According to biologists, generally the mitochondrial DNA are transmitted or inherited from the mother to children. Do you know these mitochondria are absent in the matured RBC, and the amount or number of mitochondria are different in different cells in the living organisms, especially in higher vertebrates. These mitochondria are more in number in the case of liver cells and muscle cells, because this muscle cell, for example, the muscle cells require large amount of energy. When we do prolonged physical activities, our muscles require a lot of energy. The energy for this activity can be given from these stored ATP molecules that are present in the mitochondria of the muscle cells. Okay, so the number is varied in different living tissues in the living organisms. I hope you have understood the structure and functions of the mitochondria. Then let's understand or let's study about another important cell organelle that is found only in the plant cells. Those are plastids. These plastids are specialized cell organelles which are double membranous in nature and are found in the cell of plants and algae. The first point, double membranous. And are found in plants and algae. Okay. These plastids are involved in the growth and development of the plants. They act as the storehouse of various substances like food, pigments, etc. Now let's study more details about plastids. So what are these plastids? Plastids are the storage cell organelles. These are involved in the growth and development of the plant cells. Plastids are of two types. Those are chromoplasts and leucoplasts. These are of two types. Those are chromoplast and leucoplast. Chromoplast means colored plastids. Colored. Chromo means colored. While leucoplasts are colorless plastids. Colorless. Okay. Chromoplasts contain the pigment like chlorophyll, xanthophyll, carotene, etc. If the chromoplast has chlorophyll in them, such plastids are known as chloroplasts. So, chloroplast is one of the types of a chromoplast, and it consists of a green pigment, what? Chlorophyll. Got it? What is the significance of this chlorophyll pigment in the plants and algae? This chlorophyll pigment is utilized for photosynthesis. It is the process of producing organic food from the inorganic materials like water, carbon dioxide in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. This chlorophyll pigment absorbs solar energy and converts that solar energy in the form of chemical energy. That means conversion of light energy to chemical energy is done by what? Chlorophyll pigment. Chemical energy here means the energy is stored in the form of ATP molecules. That's about chloroplast. Now you can observe the image of a chloroplast. This chloroplast is a double membrane structure, and it has outer membrane and the inner membrane. And the inner part consists of stroma and grana. Stroma is the matrix in which the thylakoid membranes are arranged as grana. thylakoid membranes together join to form a specific structure called the granum. So there are such many grana in the stroma of this chloroplast. So the thylakoid membranes contains what? Chlorophyll pigment. The chlorophyll pigment capture the solar energy and convert that light energy to chemical energy, and that is utilized for photosynthesis. Which are the other pigments present in the plants? Keratin, xanthophyll, etc. Keratin, xanthophyll, etc. Okay, this keratin is yellowish orange colored pigment, while the xanthophyll is an yellowish pigment. Those pigments are also present in plants. Next category of plastids are leucoplasts. They are colorless plastids also. The main purpose of leucoplasts to store the different types of materials like carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. These substances are stored especially in the roots and the underground stems of the plants, so that they are mainly involved in the storage of food materials. Do you know the person who discovered and named the plastids? That is Ernest Haeckel. Ernest Haeckel. But the clear definition of plastids was given by A.F.W. Skimber. A.F.W. Skimber. He gave the clear definition about the plastids. So plastids are double membraneous structure. They have a peculiarity. Plastids also have their own DNA and ribosomes, so that they are able to synthesize their own protein. So here today we have learned about two important cell organelles. Those are mitochondria and plastids. Both are double membraneous structure. Both are very important to the cell. Both of them have their own DNA and ribosomes. Got it? So I hope you understood the topic well, the structure and functions of two cell organelles. So with this I conclude my session. Then thank you and have nice moments.